One of the most weird things that happened to me at the beginning of my healing journey was that the more peaceful my life became, the more I tried to ruin it, unconsciously. This didn't happen because I was just dumb, even though I was a little and I still am. But after being used to disappointment, sadness, and just living in a survival mode overall for years, once I started to feel better, finding peace, it felt like an illusion. It was something I couldn't believe and I couldn't trust it because I thought it would fall apart at any time. So I was trying to prepare for an invisible threat, waiting for it to come until I thought, hey, but I don't have to wait for something to come and ruin it or someone when I can do it myself. And that's what I tried to do for a long time while I was trying to heal. It is sort of a funny contradiction, I'm not gonna lie, because I was trying so hard to become a better person and love myself and take care of myself and just be someone my younger self would be proud of. But at the same time, I couldn't believe I was actually doing it and succeeding. And that led me to try and bring back all the negativity, all the bad feelings, and bad people into my life because that was my blah blah. That used to be my normality. And that was something I was familiar with. I tried to sabotage myself multiple times, believe me. For example, by downloading dating apps and try to meet there someone I would marry. And all I got from those interactions was disappointment and believing that men sucked. But the thing is, you cannot expect a deep connection from a dating app. Some people find them and they end up marrying the person they met through the app or they become friends. But between you and me here, we both know that's very uncommon. Most of the time, those apps are used for casual encounters, if you know what I mean, and not for something deep in an actual relationship. That drained me because I was constantly disappointed, and instead of wanting to try and meet more people and socialize, I ended up isolating myself from people. And that didn't help me. We know that based on my previous videos. But that's not the memory I recall the most. The memory I recall the most about all this self-sabotage is when I was trying to bring back to my life people from my past. I know I'm not the only one who's been in a situation like that at least once. I'm sure that more than one of you girly pups ended up texting or calling a toxic ex or a toxic friend just because you thought you missed them, even though your life was going so great and so peaceful. And all you got from that interaction, or actually getting back together or reconnecting, was pain and self destruction all over again. But I'm not here to judge you because I have my own experience with that. And I'm going to share it with you now because I can, and this is my channel anyway, so story time. I had this friend. This was a girl I knew for years, and she was a very important part of my teenage years because she allowed me to be a little bit sane at that time. But eventually we parted ways because I needed to solve a lot of things, as we know. And once I started to do it, for some reason, I found her on TikTok and I reconnected with her. I sent a message, even though I knew I shouldn't do it. But as I said, I was trying to ruin my peace apparently, and I reached out to her. And initially, everything went great until I noticed we had different concepts of friendship. And I tried to communicate that, but I think I did it very poorly because her reaction was disappointing to me. I was hurt because she was so detached and she didn't care. She was like, if you want to talk to me, fine. If you don't want to talk to me anymore, I don't care. And I felt like, you don't appreciate me the way I appreciate you, right? And we parted ways. Definitely this time. That whole experience did ruin part of the work I achieved at the time because I started to believe I was too much, that my standards were too high, that I was inconvenient to have around, and I would never find friends if I kept being that way. But as I explained in my previous video, you'll never be too much. You're not asking for too much, you're just asking the wrong person, and if you're asking for something you can deliver, then it's okay. But remembering all this recently made me end up sitting with the question, why do we want to sabotage ourselves through these kind of things, like reaching out to people we shouldn't or going to places we shouldn't, stuff like that, if it's so hard to heal and find peace? Personally, I came up with two conclusions. There might be more, sure, but this is based on my experience and things I went through, as everything I talk about in my channel. And I do believe that you can be facing both of them, not just one. But let me tell you what they are. So first of all, we have what I explained at the beginning of the video. Because peace feels like a threat. It doesn't feel safe. When you spend such a long time living in a survival mode, just used to things falling apart constantly, or being surrounded by people who disappoint you or hurt you, it becomes something you're used to. It becomes something common, and you cannot see life as something positive or enjoyable. So when you actually decide to change that by allowing a different kind of people around you, or taking care of yourself, or setting boundaries, it feels weird. It's not something you're used to, it's outside of your comfort zone, and based on our human nature, anything that's outside our comfort zone, it's a threat. It triggers fear. So instead of actually try to keep going and get used to the new calm life, you try to ruin it. Because something bad will happen anyway, so you better be something we can control, right? That's our attempt to go back to what we are familiar with and just not be uncomfortable anymore. But progress cannot happen if you're comfortable. Progress happens outside of our comfort zone, and it's not nice, but it's for good, you know? But we need to talk about the other conclusion I came to. And that is that we try to sabotage ourselves out of pure boredom. Because let's be real here. I was going to curse, but let's leave that for later. Peace can be pretty boring. Oh, I said later and I just did it. Anyway, but peace is boring. There's not a single intense emotion going on, not a single do it for the plot situation. That leaves you with no story times to share. Do you want to know when was the last time I dealt with a romantic situation or something like that? Almost a year ago. And now when people ask me, how's everything going? I can only say fine because I have nothing interesting to share. The most interesting experiences I had lately and so far have been from books, from dark romance and fantasy books. So when nothing happens and you crave to feel something that's fun and breaks the monotony, you engage in situations or places that are up to no good, like downloading dating apps for the plot, or I don't know, starting unnecessary arguments because it feels familiar or just triggers intense emotions, and even stalking and obsessing over people from your past for no damn reason. And listen, if you're healed and you want to engage in a little chaos once in a while, I'll be the first one to support you because I do the same. But I feel like the only way to do that in a healthy manner, in a healthy way, is when you have well-established self-love, you have defined boundaries, and you have discernment. Because that way, you don't allow anything that happens to affect you or change the way you see yourself. You know when to stop. And also, you can see the difference between something that's fun and doesn't harm anyone and something that's actually unhealthy. I had to grab my glasses because I've been here for hours and I'm kind of tired, but I want to finish this video, so here they are. But now, how the f do you stop sabotaging your progress and yourself through these things? Well, when negative emotions and negative situations were what you were used to, it's hard to reprogram your brain and your subconscious into finding peace something comfortable or enjoyable. Look at me, for instance. To this day, I struggle sometimes with seeing rest as something necessary and not a waste of time, or with I still get that feeling of unease when I wake up a little bit late and I have things to do that day. It takes a long time to understand that life's not meant to feel like a battlefield all the time. Sometimes it will, of course, because life's unpredictable and things happen, sometimes bad things, but it doesn't have to be that way constantly. It takes anywhere from months to years to understand that, but once you decide to make the shift and start to live peacefully without turning back, all that's left to do to not ruin your progress is make the conscious decision to not act on those destructive urges. Those thoughts will come anyway, maybe even when you're pretty healed and better, but not everything needs to be acted on. Sometimes all you have to do is look at those thoughts like a car on the road and let them pass without stopping them for the sake of your well-being. Because, trust me, you deserve the peace and healing you're looking for. And that's all I have to say today, actually. I've been here hours and hours, and I'm tired, and my voice is almost gone, and my hair is looking weird. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I brushed my hair. Don't forget to subscribe, to leave a like, to leave a comment telling me your thoughts, your feelings, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I have Instagram and TikTok, and I'm using Threads now. I cannot believe this. I feel like a kid, somehow. But yeah, I'll leave everything in the description below, and we will see each other next week with a new video. I don't know when I'm posting this, but I know I post every weekend now, somewhere between Fridays and Sundays, so expect to see this video one of those days. We'll see each other soon. Take care, enjoy your rest, and talk to you next week. So, love y'all, and bye-bye. See you soon.